It's the panel brought to you by Sport Chek from Brentwood, Missouri. A new location for the panel as the Oilers practice at the Blues practice facility. Edmonton drops the opener of this 5-game road swing to the Dallas Stars 6-3. And once again, we see the team give up a bad first goal and they get down in a hurry, and that's never good.
No, it's not. I mean, it's a tough season so far for Cam Talbot, who was a major part of the Oilers' 47-win, 103-point campaign last year. There were a lot of nights where he bailed his team out, and I think Cam would be the first to admit that he's had his struggles at times, and you give up goals like that early in games, sometimes it can suck the life out of teams. That said, the Oilers did respond in both games, but the bottom line here is, Cam's a .920 career save percentage goalie, and right now he's at .903. I'm completely confident that that will improve as the season goes on, but the Oilers got a lot of challenges right now, and sometimes when you're not going good, your goalie can sit there and camouflage some of the other weaknesses. Unfortunately, we're in a stretch here where he's fighting it a bit, and the rest of the team is also fighting it, and that's why the Oilers are 7-11-2.
Check.
Well, you look at the quarter poll, 20 games in, and normally there'd be cause for concern if you were sitting at 7-11-2. But the game has changed a little bit in the NHL. The power lies in the Eastern Conference. If you look at the Western Conference, the way teams are stacked up right now, and there are a number of teams stacked ahead of Edmonton. But the good thing for the Oilers is those teams are only 5 points ahead.
Right.
Edmonton is not that far off the pack. In earlier seasons where the Oilers got off to a tougher start, two things were different. Number one, they were way back from the pack, and number two, they had no history of success. This year's team is closer to the pack and has the comfort in knowing that it was just last season where they were within an eyelash of going to the conference final. There's a confidence on this club that remains. There's 62 games left on the schedule. Having said that, it sometimes gets late early, and Edmonton needs to understand that and approach the final 4 games of this road trip in a fashion where they climb significantly closer to the pack.
Well, and it doesn't get easier because they go back-to-back St. Louis, Detroit, and the Blues. We saw them last week at Rogers Place. Edmonton had a good first period, and then the other 2 periods were dominated by the Blues. What are the Oilers going to have to change if they want to be successful tomorrow night, Bob?
They got to tighten up. I do think, if Cam Talbot's the goalie, I think he's going to respond, and if Brossoit's the guy, and that is a question mark, might have a better answer by the end of today, but they need to tighten up in terms of how they play. They provided way too many opportunities as that game went on against St. Louis. Oilers needed to do a better job managing the puck. We also know that it's not an excuse, but it is a factor. There's been a little bit of illness running through the group. They finally got a much-needed day off yesterday. This is a tough stretch travel-wise. I just, I'm fairly confident in this is a team at the start of the year that some of the, biggest hockey insiders in the business had at least winning the Western Conference, if not the Stanley. Well, yeah, but I'm not a big insider. But no, I'm fairly confident this is a pretty good team. They've not played as a good team, but and again, I'm confident that the goaltender is going to find his game. Eventually they'll get Sekera back. That'll make their defense better. I do think they'll find a way to create and have some more secondary scoring in time. But they got to, especially against St. Louis, they can't play as loose as they were.
Andre Sekera is on this trip practicing with the team, so a good sign. No indication as to when he'll be ready to go. But, Jack, you go into Detroit as well. That's not an easy game. We saw what the Red Wings did to the Oilers a couple weekends ago. And then, of course, you got Buffalo and Boston to round out this trip.
Well, you look at the first 2 games, and that's really what Edmonton needs to be focused on Tuesday and Wednesday. On Tuesday, they've got to match what St. Louis did in Edmonton. I think the Oilers played a solid first period, a physical first period. And the Blues, though now more of an undersized club than they once were, they're not the same big heaviness. They don't have a David Backes. They don't have a Ryan Reeves. They're different in their construction, but they still play the same way. Look at how Alex Steen scored the eventual game-winning goal. He scored from 5 feet out, winning a battle in front of the net. The Blues pushed back in that game, and Edmonton didn't steamroll them as they had last year in sweeping the season series. They're going to have to find a way to exert their physical will on the Blues on Tuesday night, and I think everyone on the roster will be up to make sure Detroit knows that was an aberration and not any start of a trend in what happened 2 weeks ago when they were shut out at Rogers Place.
You know what? You bring up that Blues point. It was almost like when the Blues disengaged from the chippy stuff is when they started to take over the game. Is that fair to say, Stop?
Well, I think they got a better team. I mean, last year, Nail Yakupov was in their lineup against Edmonton. With all due respect to Nail, I think St. Louis has got better players than that right now going. So And the other thing the Blues have is their defense can really transition the puck. That's been a challenge for Edmonton. The Oilers have had some success scoring against teams that don't move it well, but against the teams that can really, either transport or transition the puck, Edmonton's had some challenges sustaining the forecheck.
All right, we'll see how they do against the Blues. Another shot at them for the second time within a week. And then this trip continues in Detroit, Buffalo, and Boston. Jack and Bob have the call for you, as always, on 6:30 CHED. I've got you covered right here on EdmontonOilers.com.